Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in a Fortnite video. And in today's video, I wanted to be talking about the different aim assists that are in Fortnite, because I think there is some misconceptions when it comes to the different aim assists. I'm going to be going through all of them in this video, showing you guys the one that I use and the one that I think is going to be the best that most people should use. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway for Fortnite Chapter 2. If you guys want to be entered in this giveaway, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, make sure you guys turn on my post notifications so you guys can get notified for every single new video, and as well, leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account, and you guys will be automatically entered into the giveaway. And real quick, if you guys want to support me as a creator in the item shop, my code is YoungHumor. So if you guys want to support me, definitely put in my code. It helps me out a ton. I definitely appreciate it. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I wanted to be going over all the different aim assists, linear, exponential, and the old aim assist, and breaking them down and showing you guys why I prefer one over the other, and fully explain exactly which each of these aim assists could be better at and why someone might use one of these over the other. Because I think there was a lot of misconceptions and people didn't know exactly which one was going to be better, what exactly each of them did. And so I went into creative, I tested them all out myself, and I really wanted to break down why I think some might be better than other and just give my full opinion, and just so you could have a better understanding and a better idea on which aim assist to choose and which aim assist that you guys should be using as well in your game. So as of right now, I currently have on the old aim assist, so I guess you could say it's the legacy. And once you turn on the legacy aim assist, as you can see, you're able to basically use the old settings. You can change whatever you want in this menu, and that's going to be the settings that you are going to be currently using. And so, but if you choose not to use those and you want to use these new aim assists, or these new settings, there's a huge list of different things you can use. But the two things I want to focus on the most is linear and exponential, because these really do have a big difference in between the two of them, and someone might use one over the other. So the first one I want to cover is linear. And the reason why I want to cover over linear first is because it's really just the first setting that you have. And with linear, as in the description, it says something like uses more raw stick input, which basically means there's not really going to be like a boost. It's going to be pretty much instant the second you move your right stick. It's going to register and you're going to be able to move over instantly. And someone might like to use this because it can be viewed as more consistent, because like I said, it's raw stick. There's not like any type of delay, any type of boost, nothing like that. So it's very, very instant. And right now I was kind of checking out the hip fire. And when it comes to all the different aim assists, I don't really know if I could really tell too much difference in hip fire. There might be a little bit better on maybe exponential or the old one. I really couldn't tell, to be honest with you guys. But I think hip firing is probably the least of the concerns. I think it's more aiming down sights that are really the most important, because most of your gunfights, when you're talking about assault rifle, shotgun, you're really going to be ADSing from time to time. You are going to be hip firing, but the way the shotguns are now in this game, I'm not going to lie, they hit for just no damage. So that being said, a lot of ADS shots are going to be the most important. So that's what I really wanted to focus on in this video. So with linear, it's a little bit more difficult. We're going to see the aim assist is going to be when you're moving left to right. So after you're already ADSing on your target, the other player that you want to go against, that's where you're going to see the linear come into play. And it's really just like the new aim assist. So how the new aim assist really works is, so you can, after you already ADS, it basically gives it gets really slow when you move left to right over your target. There isn't like a snap or anything like that. It's after you already ADS, it's left to right, it gets slower. But the difference between linear and exponential is how it registers after you use the right stick. So on linear, it's basically the second you move, it's going to move. There's no delay. And when you have exponential on, when you look left to right, it's going to be a more gradual increase. So as you can see, it's kind of like a bigger example. So for instance, if I want to turn to the left and I'm using linear, it's going to be much quicker than if I'm on exponential. And so if I move the right stick all the way over, it's going to rotate at the same speed. But if I'm on exponential, what's going to happen is if I move it just a tad bit to the left, so I just touch it over, it's going to move much slower than if I just tap it over on linear. And that's really the big difference in between the linear and exponential. When you have exponential, when you just tap it over just a little bit, what happens is it's less of a movement than linear, because in linear it's raw stick, so it doesn't matter if you press your stick over a little bit or if you press it over a lot, the movement is going to be exactly the same. It's consistent in all directions, and that's really the key point. It's going to be consistent whether you move it just a little bit versus you move it a lot. But if you are on exponential, then what's going to happen is if you move it over a lot, it's going to go fast. If you move it over just a little bit, I'm talking about the right analog stick, the one you use to aim. If you move it over a lot, it's going to move fast. But if you move it over just a little bit, then it's going to be really, really slow. And I actually do like this, and maybe I could just be saying this because the boost that you get where you move it over just a little bit versus move it a lot, the exponential, that's been in the game for the past, before they put on, I think it was like foot controller setting or whatever it was called. So basically, you had about 10 seasons of the exponential setting, so it just feels a lot more comfortable, and it makes a lot more sense because when you are ADSing at those players from range, when it comes to those, when you're ADSing, like I said, if they're at range, it's a lot smaller target, so when you move over your stick a little bit, you want to be as slow as possible, and that's another reason on my Elite controller why the right analog stick, I have an elevated stick, so my left one's like normal sized, and then my right one comes up a little bit, and the reason why it comes up is because when it comes to those movements, it makes it just a little bit slower, it's not as fast, which makes it easier to aim at those ranges. It's easier to aim at those short movements because you're not, moving your stick all the way over, you're not jerking it too far, which can throw off your aim a lot. So that's one thing to consider when it comes to the linear versus the exponential. The linear is going to be way more consistent, but on the exponential, the bonus that you have on that is when it comes to those small stick movements, it's going to greatly help because when you move it over just a little bit, it's going to be even slower. So if you're just moving it back and forth, it's just going to be really easy to hit your shots. And I wanted to talk over this part real quick. So as you can see how much I'm moving my right analog stick, I'm doing this exact same movement, but I'm doing it after I'm ADSing. As you can see, my shots are still going straight, and I'm literally doing this exact same movement as I'm ADSing, and that's what happens when you have on exponential. When you are making those movements, it's a lot more precise. It's not going to be moving all over the place. Versus if you're on linear, you're going to be a lot more over the place. So if your sensitivity is not low on linear, you're going to probably more than likely have a hard time aiming. But it will be a lot more consistent. Maybe if you get used to it over time, it could greatly help out your aim. But for personal experience, I really do think exponential, if you are using the new settings, is going to be your best bet. Because if you happen to, during the gunfight maybe move your right analog stick somewhat, too far to the left or right, it's not going to make really any difference at all, and you're still going to be able to hit your shot. So as long as you're on target, you're going to be pretty good on exponential, as long as you are very near to the player. So that's why I would prefer to use exponential over linear, but as you can see, there is reasons for both of them. So that's why I would personally play on exponential. But back to the legacy settings, and that's the settings that I put on currently right now. As you can see, when you have the legacy settings, the one thing that's really good, so the old aim assist, is you have it locks onto your target. As you can see, when you aim to the left or the right of the player, or you aim close, you're going to get that snap kind of feel with it, and that's really good. And that's the thing, that's the aim assist that I really like to use, and that's why I currently use the older aim assist, because you get that snap when you are ADSing on that player. If you aim near them, it kind of snaps onto the player. So with this aim assist, the old one, you have that snap. If you aim near them, it goes to the player. And when you are on the new aim assist, how it works is if you're dragging, you're already ADSing and you don't get that snap, but when you are over that target, it is a lot slower and a lot more precise. So it really can be just kind of personal preference, but a lot of people that I've talked to in a lot of videos that I've seen, most people do prefer the legacy settings when you have the snap, because you definitely have a little bit more of leeway when it comes to L2 spamming and different things like that. So that's why I personally like to use the legacy settings. And also on top of that, you can use edit mode aim assist, and this is a deal breaker for me just because edit mode aim assist is just so helpful when it comes to editing with the controller. So for me personally, it's a deal breaker. That's two reasons I like the aim assist better, and I like to have edit mode aim assist because on the new one you can't have that on. So that's why I still currently use the old aim assist. So hopefully this video made it a little bit more clear what the difference was between the aim assist when it comes to linear. It's definitely a lot more consistent. You know exactly how much it's going to move, but the downside of that is when you move to exponential, when you are already ADSing and you make those like movements, after you're already ADSing on the player, it's a lot less movement, and it's gonna not throw your aim off as much as if you're on linear, because if you happen to make a slight mistake and overcorrect to the left or right, you're not gonna hit your target at all. But if you accidentally overcorrect with exponential to the left or right, then you're not gonna worry too much, because it's not gonna move very far and you're still gonna be able to hit your target. So that's why I use exponential if I were to use the new settings. And when it comes to the old settings, it's really snappy. If you aim near the player, then it'll automatically kind of lock onto the player from where you aim at. So that's why I use the old aim assist, because it gets that snap, it gets that ADS on, and that's why I prefer to use the old settings on the aim assist. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if this video you found helpful, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.